Minecraft Super Flat, the only option in Minecraft that makes it look like the flat earthers have it right. Now, to regular survival players, this terrain looks almost impossible, improbable even, but I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna survive 100 days in a super flat world. My saving grace is gonna be the villages that I stroll up on. This is the only form of life I'm going to find throughout these 100 days. Can I successfully create my own home base where I can survive these 100 days as well as get full netherite armor? Heck, I don't even know. I guess you'll have to find out for me. This is 100 days of hardcore Minecraft on a super flat world. Alright, so we're in a super flat world, which means this is gonna be so much harder than it needs to be. Obviously, when I spawned in, I instantly saw a village and started heading over to it. It also had a blacksmith, which was gonna really help me later. Once I got to the blacksmith, I opened the chest and there was 1 diamond in here, which could possibly help me later because this world does not have any diamonds for me. Hey, whoa. Before you enjoy the video, you gotta like it. Or you don't really have to. Please do. I mean, I would like to have a like on the video. At least one of you guys should do this. And if you're down there, maybe you could subscribe. I don't know. Just a thought. Anyway, enjoy the video. I then proceeded to break down the house for my stone tools because I didn't like the house. That's kind of how this works. Oh yeah, also there's no stone underneath, so I had to break the house for stone. If you don't get that, we're in a super flat world. It's like 3 layers of dirt and bedrock, so this is no stone. Once I had my tools, I decided to go kill the iron golem because I am a horrible person, and you know what? I need the iron because otherwise I'm not gonna get any iron because like I said, dirt, bedrock. That's all I'm working with right now. Then I finished looting up this first village and tried to find a second village. I was really hoping for blacksmiths, but when I found other villages, I wasn't so lucky. Of course, once I found other villages, I continued to destroy their farms, loot all their chests, kill their animals for food and possibly leather when it came to cows, as well as kill their iron golems. All of these things I don't feel great about, but it's really necessary when I'm in a super flat world. By the 4th village, I had ended up killing the iron golem and it was almost already nighttime. Now, in a super flat world, it is very easy for every mob in the world to spawn and just kill me at will. And since I couldn't really have that happen, especially on day 1, I decided to sleep, which I do a lot in this series just because of how many monsters really do spawn. While trying to finish up looting this village, I was almost killed by 2 unsuspecting slimes. Now, I'm in like full leather armor, and these things still hit like 3 hearts at a time. 1 more hit and I would have died, which basically means I was already at half a heart. Obviously, I camped it out in the house until I was able to escape and leave this village because this was not going to be my home base village. That was my goal of day 2, to find a village that I really wanted to settle down in, somewhere that was small but I was able to still live in. I came up to my 6th or 7th village at this point. It was a long trek, but I finally found some books. Now, I wasn't going to have an enchanting table for a very long time due to all the resources I actually need to have before I can get it, but these bookshelves were still going to come in handy later, and I unintentionally started really kind of liking this village. It was small enough that I could tear down houses later, and it had the villagers I needed, as well as cows, so that was really the main thing that I liked. I had gathered up some fences from previous villages because I was going to have to fence in a village if I was going to live there. Slimes were going to irritate me very much, and I did not want them in on my own land. I definitely didn't have enough fences though because I didn't have enough time. Honestly, it's day 2. I haven't really gone that far. I mean, I've gone far, but not very. You know what? Never mind. I just don't have enough fences. I went into this kind of wide house and decided that this was going to be my base of operations. There were quite a few houses, but I chose this one particularly because of how much space it had already and I didn't have to make more. I wasn't ready to build a house yet, especially since it was only day 2 and I had very little supplies. I started taking all the beds from all of the villagers' houses and putting them into one where the blast furnace used to be because maybe it would help them breed, even though I never gave them potatoes or anything, but I guess this was just their sleeping quarters now. Now that I was living in a village, I was gonna need a lot of space for various different things I was gonna have to build later on, and I couldn't have all of these villagers' huts around. So I ended up spending the next couple of days tearing down a few of these houses, and I spend my time doing this a lot because I really only have stone tools right now, and stone isn't very fast. But hey, you know what? It works for now. Then by the end of day 4, it was made apparent to me that if you shovel the grass, you can change it into whatever block this is. I still don't know what this block is called. but you can change it into this and slimes do not spawn on it, which means I can cover my entire village in this really horrible block, but it's needed for now, and no slimes will spawn. So I decided to bite the bullet and shovel the entire village. This is what I called the ground turns brown. In my notes, that's literally the entire thing for day 4 and 5, because half of day 4 was spent cutting down houses, half of day 4 was spent making the ground brown. And I'm not proud of it because it looks ugly as all get out, but I have to do it. So yeah, now we're on day 5 and the ground is brown. The next day, I continued to place down all the fence that I was able to make and hopefully encase my entire area. I did have to use quite a bit of fences to do this, but overall, I think it works really well because now we do not have to worry about slimes ever spawning in our base. So I thought in order to make a farm, I was gonna need dirt because I was gonna... Bob the Builder, can we fix it? Bob the Builder, yes we can! So I tried doing villager trades and the composter thing just didn't work at all for the villagers that I already had set inside the building. Instead, 2 random guys from outside decided that they wanted the composter and it was a mess. I am clearly not equipped to do villager trades, and I really am not the entire time. I mean, me trying to do villager trades throughout the entire 100 days was a mess, let alone right now. Eventually, I did get a farmer, and I put him in his little area, and I was able to get him on potatoes, and that was good, but it was still not, like, very well executed. Then I decided to watch an iron golem fight for his life with thousands of little slime balls all around, and I just realized something. This guy's a mass murderer, okay? Yeah, they're bad, but look at how many people he killed. Unfortunately, it was time to put him down. He was not allowed to survive in my area, okay? We cannot have mass murderers, serial killers, if you will, in our town, okay? So he had to be put down. I then continued trying to get villagers and using grindstones to do it. Not that I know what they actually give you in trades, but I figured I'd get some tools or something. I then went ahead and spent day 8 with some of my farming villagers trying to get some more trades for potatoes, while I also continued trying to improve my potato farm. It wasn't a very eventful day, but hey, you know what? You gotta learn villager trades some way. I felt really cooped up in my own village and decided to go check out some others for the next 4 days. My main goal was to go out and get a lot more iron from iron golems, as well as loot all of the villages to see if I could find anything special. It wasn't very eventful until I found a blacksmith with an extra 2 diamonds, which took our total up to 3 instead of 1. As well as along the way, I was looking for bookshelves, and I happened to find a couple of little libraries, but then I stumbled upon a huge library in one of these villages. Let's just say this was probably the coolest building I've ever seen because it basically secured me off to have my full enchanting table. Oh yeah, I also found this horse along the way, which I decided to name Popcorn, and I, to this day, don't know what happened to him. Oh wait, yeah I do. We'll talk about that later. I continued my search for something cool and stumbled upon literally nothing, but hey, you know what? Iron is necessary, I guess. 4 days of travel later, I did end up making it home with my new horse and a lot of cool items. While I was out, I ended up grabbing a lot of lava buckets and some extra obsidian from blacksmiths, which I used to make my own nether portal. Now this was going to be the only non-flat land I was going to be able to make it to, so I was really excited about this. As you know, there is no flint in a super flat world. If the villagers still had gravel, pathways, it would be a lot easier, but we don't have that. I had to use lava and a lot of wood to catch the thing on fire, but eventually it lit. I traveled my way into the nether and spotted nothing really cool. Of course, it was another soul sand valley, which I always spawn in no matter what. But there were some pretty cool bone blocks, so I guess I can use that for my potatoes. Not that it's necessary, but it's just a luxury, I guess. On my way back to the overworld, I ended up spawning very far away from my original portal. I was even outside my original base, which means that I actually don't know what this means, because this shouldn't happen, but it did. So I guess I just have to run back to my village every time I leave the nether. That seems very inconvenient, but I guess we'll have to work with it. All the iron that I got on my trip, I ended up using for good. Or good for me, not for the villagers. I started making tools because I was gonna need to cut down all of these villager huts. Yeah, I know it's a pretty boring process, but it really needs to happen if I'm gonna actually make this place my home. Right now, it's not comfortable from being able to go house to house and having to find villagers and that kind of stuff. I was gonna need my own base of operations, and to do that, I had to cut all of these spaces down. I'll spare you the pain of watching though, so next day. Once I was able to get all of these villager huts gone, or at least the ones I needed gone, I decided to build my own house. And when I say house, I basically just mean an oak jungle, because that's all this place is ever gonna be. All oak. I'm so happy I decided to do a super flat video because it makes everything look so ugly. This was gonna be my storage room and I was trying to make it disconnected from the house a little bit and it kinda looked okay. Now, yes, you can properly build a really nice house out of just oak and stuff, but I just didn't have the time. There are slime boys trying to kill me 24/7, and I just needed a place to store items. Not that I have very many, but I do. And this was the best solution I could come up with for the time being. I started working on the outline of the real house, and the night started to come way quicker than I realized. The moon must like watching me sleep, because it continues coming back up when I'm going to bed. Days 17 and 18 were continued building my house. I added a balcony as well as a kind of decently cool roof. I don't know what this house was supposed to look like, but this is kind of what it's ended up like. To me, it reminds me of like a suburb house. I don't know, but it just looks horrible without any texture whatsoever from blocks that I don't have. Oh well, for now, we're gonna have to work with it. And I don't mean for now, I mean the rest of the 100 days. Day 19 was super boring. All I did was cut down some trees, breed my cows, and tend to my farms. Now on to day 20. Ooh, I'm reading it now. Day 20 is not much better. I started a tree farm that will actually help me out quite a bit throughout these 100 days. I already used a ton of wood that I basically already gathered from all the villagers' homes on my house, and I was gonna need a very good sustaining amount of wood. And to do that, I also didn't want giant trees, so I put over the top of all of my saplings a layer of cobblestone that will stop the trees from growing into the gigantic ones that I hate so very, very much. Oh, and apparently this went to day 21 as well. Why did this take me so long? I should have speed bridged this. Honestly, I should just speed... Oh, there I go. I am. Okay, well, why did this take so... whatever. Side note, when I finished, I added torches as well. Yeah, that's all I got for you. Unfortunately, the next 2 days were spent finishing tearing down the rest of the villagers' houses. And unfortunately, that included the house I had stayed at from day 1. 20 days later, and it was time to clear it out. Thank you for being here for all this time. But now let's get past the boring stuff and on to the next days. As you know, in a super flat world, the economy is very, very bad. I do not have access to very many blocks or definitely no tools and iron and diamonds and gold. Those ores are basically impossible for me to get. Luckily, super flat worlds have villages, which is what I took over, and that actually has villagers and I can breed them and that kind of thing. And I was gonna need a trading hall for that, which is what I made for the next 3 days. The villager trading hall ended up being probably one of my favorite builds along the entire series. Overall, the concept worked really well. I only had a little bit of cobblestone, and so I had to use some of the mossy cobblestone with it, but it ended up making it look even better. Even in the end of my series, I try and do a different wood type build, and it still is horrible. This is still gonna be the best build you'll see the entire 100 days. Oh, other than Mega Farm. You'll see that later. Yeah, this is what it turned out looking like, and I think it works. I'm gonna have a lot of villagers in here, hopefully a lot. I don't know. I didn't really check the square footage, but we should have a lot in here. It was definitely a struggle getting my villagers into this 1x1 area because I don't think they like being enslaved. Might want to write that down. Villagers don't like being enslaved. Oh well, it's not like I care about them at all. I also wanted an area where I could breed the villagers without them being in the upstairs of my house, which you guys don't know that, but they were upstairs in my house for a very long time for some reason. I don't know why, they just kind of decided that was where they were gonna go. Anyway, I started making a little villager breeding area so I could, well, breed villagers. I mean, who else am I gonna enslave during these 100 days if it's not gonna be, like, Cows. I have cows. Ooh. Anyway, the breeder, I put it on the side of my trading hall so that I could just kind of rotate villagers in and out as I please. As well as it worked pretty well because they started, you know, doing their thing as soon as possible. Now I am the proud owner of enslaved villagers. I don't know if proud's the right word for that, but I'm proud. Ish. Day 30 was yet again another boring chore day. I continued to extend a farm I was building, and I extended the cow's pen. It wasn't great. I mean, it was, you know, is all I could do because the cows were treated almost worse than my villagers, which is really hard to do, but somehow I managed to do it until today. The next 2 days were spent doing odds and ends. I decided to do some villager trading, and I ended up with a lot of axes, but since I don't really have a ton of excess iron, these iron axes are going to be useful for when I have to harvest my tree farm, which is what I did next. Harvest my tree farm as well as make a cobblestone generator since I don't have an excess of cobblestone. Remember, I'm on 3 layers of dirt and then bedrock, so cobblestone isn't in the mix. As well as once I finished all that stuff, I headed into the nether to get myself some gravel, as that's the only area I can get it, and I really needed it for fletching tables. I busied myself the next day with villager trading because I was going to need to upgrade these guys a lot. Unfortunately, I don't think weakness potions are going to be in the mix for a while on this world, which means I'm going to have to get villager trades the legitimate way. No 1 emerald for 1 potato, no, nothing like that. I actually have to trade with these guys forever to eventually lower their prices a little bit. Now, there are some resources that I actually can farm, and that includes mobs, which is what I decided to work on for the next few days, a mob farm, something I have never built before in my life, and I decided to do it without an actual tutorial. I've seen enough 100 days videos as I do end up doing my research and watching a lot of other people, and that does include Luke the Notable, Skies, Mosey, like there's a ton of 100 days people out there, and I've seen a mob farm or whatever, mob grinder, built hundreds and hundreds of times. So at this point, I think I'm able to recreate it myself pretty well here, and over the time of the series, it does work. I don't ever really need it for EXP until the end when I have an enchantment table, which I shouldn't have just spoiled, but for now, I really need it for the resources it can give me, such as bones for bone meal, and that's all I can really think of. Maybe gunpowder if I ever figure out a way to get an elytra. You know, maybe you guys will let me go to the end in the 200 days video, and that's up to you guys in the comments. Comment down below if you want me to go to the end, aka cheat. I don't really want to do that, but if that's the only way I can get to the end, then I'm okay with it. Hey, look at that, it works. Welcome to death. I'm sorry, day 37. I should not have filled you with really boring chores, but yeah, I did farming. I just realized how much of this 100 days is actually spent trading with villagers and doing farming. I know that that's really all I can do in these 100 days on a super flat world, but I'm gonna try and skip past those days as much as I possibly can for you guys. The fun stuff I will try and lengthen compared to the days that are really boring, but yeah, I farmed today and did a lot of villager trading. Capitalism continues as I have a stack and 43 of emeralds. Alright, so I was getting sick and tired of iron golems roaming my base, and they were, yes, helpful against the slimes, but still really annoying. They also spawned on top of my villager breeder area, and it just kind of ruined the whole aesthetic of my base. So this time I decided to look up a tutorial on how to make an iron farm, and this took me a very long time. Now, in the tutorial, it recommended that I use glass, but since I don't really have access to that in this world, I use leaves instead, because I think they're both transparent. That's possibly why this messed up so much, because this entire 3 days for this whole iron farm was spent uselessly. And yeah, I mean, I could have done a lot better and I could have researched a lot more and used my brain, but instead I decided to use a tutorial. Never use tutorials. I thought it started working, and it really did not. I mean, this whole thing was just an entire disaster waiting to happen. I think it was probably the fact that I didn't have the right blocks at all, and it was a mess from the start. It only had 3 villagers, so it wasn't going to be very efficient anyway, and I knew how to do it the right way. I just decided to watch this thing instead for some odd reason. Since the iron farm was basically a bust and it did use up a little bit more beds than I really wanted it to, I knew I was going to need more to continue my villager breeding, so I headed over to this local village to steal more beds. I'm sure the villagers were happy for letting me take the one possession that normally no one takes from them. Once I got back, I tried to solve the problem of this iron golem farm, and maybe it was because the villagers couldn't see the zombie, which was really stupid because that definitely was not the reason at all. These guys just didn't seem to be scared of the zombie whatsoever, and it wasn't really working, so I just left it, and I knew I was gonna have to create a better iron farm eventually. Haha, ruining day 43 with just farming my trees. And when I say eventually create a better iron farm, I mean right now. First things first, I was gonna need a plot of land, and I decided to take away my first farm that I ever built. Seemed like a good bit of land to be used, I guess. I don't really know why I have this farm when I have a giant other farm, so we're just gonna remove this guy. So as you know, my previous iron farm that was actually like 30 seconds ago did not do well whatsoever. And since I already have a plan, because my villagers that were breeding were spawning iron golems on top of their breeding area, I decided to move their breeding area into an area where I can put iron golems above them and trap them and kill them, and you know what, it makes way more sense later when you see it, okay? But the goal was the villagers will spawn an iron golem above them like they've been doing the entire series, and they'll float into a little area and then burn in lava, and I'll get the iron. All right, time to see if this thing works, and it does. Look at that, it's spawning iron golems, but I need to use this water. Oh, I'm an idiot. The water just went to the lava. Yup, and now it's obby. Okay, time to mine for an hour and a half with an iron pickaxe. Since that's never going to be enough iron, I decided to go out hunting for more beds so I can breed more villagers so that I can get more iron so that I am not poor. Basically, I wanted to add another layer onto my iron farm, which I do again later, so basically this is just me adding another layer onto this farm. I had to get a zombie as well as villagers up these leaves into the second layer so that the iron golems would spawn above, and then I had to breed them, and it's just this whole process that it takes a long time. Especially since a lot of zombies don't know how to pick up like stairs and blocks and stuff, which I didn't know was a thing. I actually thought that every zombie could pick up a block or something like that, hold it in their hand forever and not despawn, but apparently it's only a select few of zombies, so that took a while as well. Anyway, we have a second little bit of our iron farm now, so we make double the amount we were going to be making, which is good. Oh, sweet capitalism. Oh boy, I love me this iron farm. So we all know that farming is a pretty good way to get emeralds, and I already have an iron farm, but I figure I may as well make a gigantic potato farm. Potatoes are pretty easy to trade to a lot of villagers, and they also are not hard to get, especially when you have the size farm I'm talking about. For now though, it looks like wheat's gonna be the only thing I can plant in this farm until I have a lot more potatoes. So basically I had to go do something around the house, and I forgot to actually hit escape on my game, which is something I don't normally do, and I AFK'd for 2 days, but hey, at least it was the iron farm, right? And by that I mean I got a lot of iron, which basically means time for some more capitalism. Since this is the only way I can ever get diamonds and diamond gear, that kind of stuff, this is really effective for me. At this point, iron equals diamonds. And since iron does equal diamonds in a super flat world, I'm gonna need more of it, aka another extension, aka I need even more beds. The next day I went ahead and made my first ever enchanting table. Now this is something historic in a super flat world. That's because you can only receive diamonds from the blacksmith. Thankfully I already had 2, and I was able to trade for a diamond pickaxe, which means this is my first enchantment table. And since I am now trying to do an iron farm, I needed to get a lot more wood. Thankfully I have a tree farm that takes way too long to harvest, but here we are. You know what is wrong with me? I'm really greedy in this series when it comes to emeralds, and I never stop farming the potatoes. So I'm just gonna let you know right now that this farm will be extended eventually, and it will be harvested a lot. So get ready for very short days where I just say potatoes at this point. This farm takes way too long to plant. I spend literal days on this thing. This is insane, but hey, you know what? I get potatoes, so I guess it's good. And after literal days of farming and iron AFKing, I have full diamond armor. I have achieved something unachievable, unattainable on a super flat world. And technically, if it were unattainable, I wouldn't have it, but we won't talk about that. Hey, remember that time I talked about expanding my iron farm? Yeah, I'm finally getting that to English. I'm finally getting to that today. Let's just say I've told you I'm greedy, but this is a new level. I am making this farm way too big. Wait, what if in 200 days I add like 7 more levels and it goes all the way to max? Oh, I have too many ideas. Hey, remember that potato joke I made? Yeah, it's potato time. What did I do with those potatoes? I got emeralds. What did I do the next day? Replanted those potatoes because that's how big this freaking farm is. And then I was visited by some e-girls the next day, which I promptly decided to kill and forgot that a raid would start immediately. Oh well, we're almost 70 days through the series and I still haven't done a raid. I don't know what I'm doing. At least now I have diamond armor, so this isn't gonna be near as hard as before in my regular 100 days series when I did it in iron. Yeah, that was not fun. No touchy. You're an annoying mob and I have to kind of poke at you for a while, but no touchy. Whoa, there are a lot more of you than there need to be. I am simple man. I know I have like 100 villagers, but gee bus. Oh, that is a lot. No. Do not touch me. Oh, no. This is not good. I'm going to run away. I should have had a bow. Haha, I have oh, I'm gonna need a new bow. That is not gonna work for me. Better bow time. Oh, that's a much better bow. Thank you very much. I feel like I should give you guys the sound effects, so here they are. Pew. 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 All right, anyway. Yay, I am the hero of this village. Now I get even freer trades. And I also have totems of undying, so that's really cool. You know when villager trades become fun? When you start trying to get the librarians going. You know how long it takes before you get good books? Yeah, infinity. Luckily, I was able to get mending and obviously a few other different books, as you can see by a few more villagers. But not before it took me forever to reroll all of their trades. Thank goodness I have Netflix. Hey guys, guess what? Potatoes! Apparently I spent 2 more days doing potatoes. This is getting ridiculous. Hey, you remember that project I worked on like 30, 20, 10, I don't know, days ago? Yeah, the very bad iron farm that never worked. That one's gonna be taken down today, finally. Day 74, we are doing something productive other than farm potatoes. Thankfully, my base will no longer look atrocious with this thing floating above it. Excluding the monster mob farm thing. That's kind of bad. Emeralds. Man, I love these things. They're just so good. They're great. I love having them. All right, so one of the most impossible accomplishments that I will ever succeed in is getting full netherite armor. Now, in a super flat world, you can obviously go to the nether if you get enough lava from all the blacksmiths, which I've done. So, I have full access to the nether, which means I can go mining there anytime I want for netherite, which is exactly Bob the Builder. Can we fix it? Bob the Builder. Yes, we can. Because I think I'm cool. I was able to get an 18 netherite scrap, which means I can make a total of only 4 netherite ingots, but that is just enough for me to make armor. And trust me, this was probably my happiest moment in the entire 100 days. Not the raid, not successfully doing an iron farm on my own, not capitalizing on capitalism, but making a full Prot 4 netherite set. This was my favorite moment in the entire 100 days. Potato time. And then I decided to commit deforestation in a world without trees. Probably should not be doing that. I've also been building with oak wood for a very long time, so I decided to set up my very own cobblestone generator. I actually kind of forget why I did this because this was a month ago of a recording, and yeah, it's my bad for not getting this out sooner, but we're not gonna talk about that right now. So yeah, anyway, I made a cobblestone generator. Woohoo, yippee, okay, all right, anyway. Oh, that's right, I was trying to extend my tree farm. That makes so much more sense. What am I shooting at? Oh, a spider, never mind. All right, I give up. Yo, look how closely I'm planting this trees. No one told me that you can actually do this, so this whole tree farm has been pretty useless, and now I'm making it not useless. And while I Bob the Builder, can we fix it? Bob the Builder, yes we can. Drew, look at how much wood I'm gonna have to mine. Oh, this is beautiful. Beautiful, I say. And once I was done with all of that, I decided to AFK this farm because I needed cobblestone for a future build, which I might do in 200 days if you guys like this. Please like it. I actually kind of like the super flat stuff. Guess what invisible e-girl showed up just for me to give me spruce trees? Wait, I think I answered that with the whole invisible thing. And anyway, I now have spruce trees from a wandering invisible made trade. I have spruce trees. That's basically the gist of it, which means I can now not only get spruce wood as well as spruce leaves, but I can actually make pot soil, right? That's what that's called, pot soil. I think I can do that with the big trees, and that is what I do next. Look at these beautiful things, a different wood type. Oh, I cannot wait to use this. Except in the build that I do use this, I really royally screw up, which means in 200 days, I'm gonna have to fix this, but you're gonna have to see it anyway, so ha! Ugly build time. All right, what I mean by ugly build is that I basically wanted to build a villager trading hall for the end of the 100 days, and it was going to be much bigger than any other build on this entire series. It started off with a farm in the middle so that it would be basically an auto villager breeder in a way, so I could have infinite villagers whenever I pleased, as well as I was going to have to house the villagers in this building and create individual little areas for them, which means that there's like a lot of intricate stuff in the walls, as well as there was going to have to be a roof, which is the most complicated part of this, as well as the palette design that I'm going with. So yeah, I don't know if I like this build or not, but I just summed up like 10 days of work in like that amount of time. It's not 10 days, but it's like 8 days. Anyway, this is basically what it looks like after the 8 days, and honestly, I do not like this kind of at all. But anyway, I had to gather a lot of spruce trees, a lot of AFK cobblestone, things that you don't really want to see, but this is the build, this is the layout. The roof is going to change if I ever do a 200 days, but in the span of 200 days, I was able to complete quite a bit. Giant potato farm, capital...
तुम खुद देखो, ये देखो, है मुझसे कोई स्मार्ट? बताओ, खुद नहीं, तुम खुद दे, मैं ये नहीं कहता, तुम मेरी बात मानो, तुम खुद देखो ना, फैसला तुम करो कि मैं इस दुनिया का सबसे हैंडसम बंदा हूं या नहीं हूं। ये देखो, ये देखो।